Hi, friends. I'm Laura Miller, Compass Real Estate Agent here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm excited today to launch for you a small short series called Keys to the Deal to help you, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, get the best deal and the best strategy for your next real estate move. Today, I'm really excited because I have the one and only Nicole Koppler. Thank
Thank
you, Nicole,
you.
for coming.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And we're going to go over what I think is step one for anyone, whether you're an investor, whether you're looking for your first, second, third family home, right? Um, the money. We all need the money to buy these
Yeah.
houses, right? So
hmm
I am so excited because Nicole has been doing this, what, 6 years
Yep.
now?
Yeah, I
Six.
can't believe it.
I
Yeah.
know. And that's a long time in the lending
uh
world, I feel like.
I'm Nicole. I'm a loan officer at Union Home Mortgage, and I help people, specifically first-time home buyers and investors, purchase a home in the Pittsburgh area. I'm also licensed in Ohio, and I am, my whole niche, I guess, is breaking things down to make it understandable for the buyer purchasing a home and making them feel very comfortable and making the process easy for them to buy their home.
Yeah. Nicole used to be a teacher, so she's
hmm
very, very, very versed at really just being able to, like you said, break it down
Yep.
and get to know the clients so that you're really helping them make the best financial decision for their future.
Yep. Everyone's situation is different, and I want to learn about them and what their goals are so I can meet those goals.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Yeah.
If if I'm a new buyer, I've never purchased anything. I don't have any investments. I'm maybe
Mhm.
I'm new to this whole process, ground zero. What do you think step one is?
Step one is either find a real estate agent or a lender because the real estate agent is going to refer a great lender or
Mhm.
vice versa. Once you have your lender and your real estate agent in place, it's really important to jump on we call it discovery call,
Okay.
where we go over your goals. I call you or I meet you in person. We go over everything that you want in a home and budget wise. So we go
Yeah.
over all the money, like what you're comfortable spending and what you're looking for, what area of Pittsburgh you're looking for, because those taxes are really going to drive different
Right.
prices. And once I have an idea of what you believe you can afford, and sometimes people have no idea, and that's totally okay. That's when we apply on our application, our UHM mortgage app, and I really look into all of their numbers and I
Okay.
pull their credit, look at their income documentation. So it's really good. It's really good to have everything prepared ahead of time. So we look for bank statements, income docs such as pay stubs,
Mhm.
1099, W-2s, tax returns.
And you tell everybody, like, what they need exactly,
Yes.
right? So if you're self-employed, for example, and you're
Mhm.
like, "I don't have a W-2,
Yep.
what do I do?"
Yep.
You can kinda walk through on that discovery call
Yep.
what those documents are.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's important because I think a lot of times, even when I try to get on, like, a buyer-seller's consult, not even a listing appointment, people get like, "Oh, boy," like, non-committal. It's like you're signing up for that Tinder date or something. You're like,
Yeah.
"Now we're gonna meet in person." But
Yeah.
it's really not a pressure, right? Like,
No.
for me, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm happy to talk to you, and if we never speak again, I mean, I would love to speak again,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
nothing personal. Like, you
No.
have to find the person
That works
that works for
best.
you,
Mhm.
and everybody is different personality-wise, needs-wise. So, yeah, I guess, like, I just wanna clarify that call, it's like you're not pulling your credit on that call. It's
No.
literally just a 5-10 minute
Nope.
conversation.
Yep. And
"Hi, here it is."
yeah. I'll
But
give you
but
an
it's so
example.
crucial, right?
And
Like,
that's where we really make the connection. So I try to make things as broken down as possible. So for example, I'll ask you what you do for a living, and then we'll kind of get into small talk, and
what's
I
the
make things as
craziest job
comfortable.
someone's ever said?
Oh, probably illegal.
That's
So,
okay.
yeah, like it's definitely something that yeah,
Just
and there's
because,
just a
like,
few.
people, it's like, "I'm a waitress."
Yeah.
I mean, we can pre-approve you.
Yeah,
We can
absolutely.
figure
There's
that
different ways of
out,
doing yeah.
I hear a
hmm
lot of clients being like, "I just don't think I'll ever get pre-approved,"
Yeah.
or, "I'll only be pre-approved for this amount because some big bank spit out a pre-approval on a piece of paper without even really talking to
Yeah.
them, and it's like 140." And then, I'll send them over to you and you're like, "Wait a minute. We have this
Yeah.
program that works for you."
I'll
And
never
we'll
say
get
no.
into that too. There's so
hmm
many programs too that not every lender works with.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big differentiator too, of like who you
Yeah.
pick and what they can offer you essentially.
And the one thing that I find the most discouraging to other people is that they'll come to me saying that their last lender said no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say no to anybody. I think it's really important to find a way. There's always a way to get someone a house and get those keys, whether it's, in credit repair, whether
Mhm.
it's gift money. There's some way that we can get you into a house. So I'll never say no. And if for people like waitresses,
Like
we
tips
can
in
yeah,
service industry, we run into that a lot. I mean,
exactly. Yep.
that's just the way it works,
Yeah.
right?
There's people with all
Um,
kinds of different jobs that get paid all sorts of different ways, and
yeah.
some lenders might not understand how to pre-approve them, but,
Mhm.
like, I'm here, you're a human being that really wants this house and really wants to start their life in a new way, and I'm here to help you get there, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's why we love you. You're the
yeah.
best.
Yeah, and
So,
that's it.
okay, so we have the intro call. That's kind of step 1.
Yep.
What are the current, I guess you could say, like, let's say there's hurdles, right? Like you said, you're not going to say no, but maybe you
Mhm.
can't say yes right now.
Mhm.
So maybe like you mentioned credit. What
Mhm.
if my credit score is just it's in the dumps?
We
Like
have
what exactly can people do to try to boost that up to a point where they could be approved?
Yeah, so we have a program within our system that tells us what their score can go up to with our means. So we'll click that. It'll tell us exactly what they need to do.
Okay.
They do need to follow that within a certain time frame if they
Mhm.
want a house within a certain time
Right,
frame.
right.
So I guide them through all of that. If it's non-repairable, sometimes that happens where it's like we can't get their scores up to a qualifying level. I
Mm.
will send them out to an actual tax credit repair person that
Right.
specializes in this stuff
Right.
and can go through whatever is needed to get that score up.
Okay.
The biggest I see, like, the biggest hurdles to credit is normally, like, bankruptcy,
Mm.
situations where they didn't pay off their mortgage, like, pay their mortgage.
Okay.
Cars is a big one. If they didn't pay their car payment on time for months on end,
Mhm.
those things can really affect your credit. But,
Okay.
I always tell people if they don't have enough credit, a lot of students,
First time
coming out of
home buyers
college, yeah,
maybe.
they
Yeah.
don't have credit established yet, no problem. We have, I usually tell them, like, open up 2 bank credit cards, secure bank credit
Okay.
cards, put on just make the bills, like, for example, if they need gas, groceries, necessities that they need and they're gonna spend money on anyways, put them on that credit card and set up the credit card for automatic payment
Okay.
because that's going to boost their credit faster, than anything else for somebody that doesn't have credit.
Right. Right. And what about how does student debt kind of play into that? Because I know a lot of people lately have been coming to me, during COVID, everybody, a lot of
Mhm.
the government loans, right? They went
Yes.
on freeze
Yep.
and then somehow they unfroze
Mhm.
and people missed that notification and they
Yeah.
kind of went into forbearance and
Mhm.
didn't even know it. So
Yep.
now their credit's kind of wonky because of that. I know
Yes.
we've been kind of talking, a couple of our clients have been
Mhm.
seeing this, and I know you have some
Success stories.
success,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, can you
Yeah.
share?
Absolutely. So we have, a step-by-step guide on how to get yourself out of that situation. There's so many people that ran into this issue.
Yeah.
I guess the alerts must have not been strong enough because there's
Yeah.
no way that this many people
No,
have had.
it's crazy how
Mhm.
we met. I met one, and
Yeah.
literally, I think I've heard of 5 of 6 in the last month.
Yeah.
People telling me this, and it might just be because it's spring and people are starting to want to buy a house
Yeah.
now. But they're like, we missed the memo.
Yeah.
Like, where was this? Hey, you have to pay this bill.
Yeah.
But what
There's
I was surprised too is, it's obviously not a fix overnight, but it's not a super long fix either. I mean, we're
no,
talking months, right?
I had a girl fix it within 2 months, and she was in her house by month 3. They work with it. We have a guide on how to speak with the Department of Education to remove that off of the credit report,
Okay.
and they pay it separately,
Mhm.
and we hit them with the debt that's on that, but normally they can get on an income-driven plan
Okay.
where they lower those payments, and
Right.
we can get you approved. It shouldn't that issue must have not been people's fault because the Department of Education is very open to removing that.
Okay,
So,
that's good to know
yeah,
that they're
for
they're
anyone who's
responsive.
scared
Yeah,
of
it's not that
applying.
daunting of a
No.
process,
Mm-mm.
essentially.
No.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And so what about people also, I think we're, first time home buyers we work with a lot,
Mhm.
but then we have the moving up buyers, right? So how do you is that approach different to lending, or is it kind of really just a similar process?
It depends on the situation, especially with contingencies.
Mhm.
So if somebody has to sell their house in order to buy the new house, we approach their financing differently because they're using those funds to purchase their new house.
Okay.
So there's just it's basically the same. I still go over the same slideshow. I still go over all of the details step by step. Most likely they haven't had that step by step guide to
Yeah.
purchasing their home. So I
Yeah.
always like
I
to,
never did,
yeah,
truthfully.
yeah.
I've
But I
I'm on my
haven't.
second house, and
Hmm.
before you gave it to me, my
Yeah.
eyes were opened.
Yeah.
I
I
said,
know, everyone learns
"Wow,
a
that's
lot.
how it
I
works."
try to make it as fun and interactive as possible
Yeah.
because lending can be boring. It's money, it's finance. It's not something that everyone's super interested in, but I try to make the slideshow as easy to understand as possible. So I still get them on that call, even if
Mhm.
they're second, third, fourth home buyers, like the
Yeah.
home buyers. And we go through the slide. At the end, I ask them where the money's coming from for closing, and if they say that they have to sell their home first, we walk through all of that with
Okay.
them. Again, step by
Yeah.
step. I try to talk them through it. We get a net proceeds form from the agent just to see how much money that they're going to have or likely to have before
Mhm.
closing, and we work with those numbers to see what the best approach is. Because sometimes for you don't have to put 20% down, but sometimes for certain buyers, it's better to
Okay.
for their monthly payment.
Let's dive into that,
Mhm.
because that's a misconception I've been
Oh
getting
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
lately, right?
Mhm.
I have I wanna buy this house, but I don't have X amount, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Well, where's X amount coming from?" Right?
Mhm.
Is that something you have worked with a lender? Of course, they say no. But
Mhm.
then so is 20% just a typical thing, or like why the 20%? What is that number? Is it the PMI, the private mortgage insurance
Yeah.
that's attached to it?
So conventional mortgages have PMI up until 20% and then it falls off. So a
Okay.
lot of people love to put 20% down so they can remove that PMI, but it's not always the best option for everybody. It really depends on what your situation is, and
Mhm.
it might be better in some situations to buy down the rate instead. Like
Okay.
there's different every story and every loan is completely different, and what's best for one person might not be
Right.
best for the other. But you don't need you can if you're a first-time home buyer, you can have as low as 3% for a conventional,
Okay.
3.5 for an FHA, and USDA is 0. If you're a veteran, 0. And
Wow.
then
Okay.
you're left with closing costs,
Yeah.
which is also another big misconception. People think that the down payment is, like, everything. There are closing costs attached to that
Right.
down payment as well.
And those include like processing fees on your end,
Yeah,
right? Title search, lien search,
yeah.
a whole list of things.
A lot of third-party
A lot
fees,
of
so
third-party fees, yeah.
government fees,
Right.
taxes,
Yeah.
escrow. So
But we can all but you're essentially we're running all these numbers up front, right? That's why this first call is so
yes.
critical, because
Yeah.
people and clients a lot of times will feel kind of, I think, overwhelmed or burdened and
Mhm.
say, I could never afford this. When in actuality, it's kind of like, here's the pie and here's how
Mhm.
we're going to slice it to make it work,
Yep.
right?
Yep. We go over line by line every single fee that you are charged, so you are not left in the dark and you
Mhm.
understand what you're going into. So I know, I've heard I'm not gonna say any names, but there's some big bank lenders that will just shoot out pre-approvals, and then they'll get to closing, and the people buying the house have no idea what they owe. And then that kinda turns into denial or, like, if
Yeah.
they don't have the money, that turns into
Termination.
denials,
Yeah.
terminations, it ends the
Doesn't
deals,
work.
it hurts everybody involved.
Yeah.
So, on the first time that they find a house, or sometimes they don't even have to find a house, we'll just use an example house.
Right.
I'll I'll formulate an estimated cost sheet, and I'll get them on a Teams call, we'll screen share or we'll meet in person, and we'll go over what every single line and what every single fee means and why they're being charged that fee.
Mhm.
A big one is origination fees. So, when you have a rate, there's a price attached to it. And sometimes lenders will offer pre-approvals that say like a crazy rate that's like unheard of. Like the feds give us the rates, but like let's say
Yeah.
like, oh, we're offer this company's offering a 4.8, whatever,
Mhm.
5.0.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm going with this lender.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know that they're being charged for that rate, thousands of dollars.
Until the
So
end.
until the end. So it's so important
That's just
to get
wild to
on.
me.
Yeah. I've seen it happen in real time, and it's devastating because people just don't have that kind of money, or they didn't want to. Like they didn't know they
Right,
weren't
and then at
okay with
that
spending that.
point, you're at the end of a 30-day, maybe 60-day closing
Mhm.
period, and you're not getting a house and
Mhm.
you've prepared to move, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a good situation for anyone.
Yeah, and in that case, like, if these buyers are qualified enough to make that decision on what the rate is, I let them I guide them, I give them the facts, and I let them decide what is best
Mhm.
for them. So, I always wanna provide at least 3 options to every buyer
Yeah.
if they qualify. If they only qualify for one way, then and we'll get into the grant. So, let's say
Yes.
someone needs a
Yes.
grant, they don't have much of a choice with their rate or their
Okay.
costs, because they're getting money at closing. But normally these we're not allowed to charge an origination cost on a grant program.
Okay.
So we don't there's not really much to go over.
Right. Right.
But in every other situation, I think it's so important to be as transparent as possible with the buyer, be as honest as possible, and show them what we're working with before they put that offer in
Right.
on the house.
And I also, so when you mentioned closing costs, what if people have like a parent or an inheritance or a gift from someone personally?
Yeah.
Is that something that you have to disclose up front? Like how do personal gifts and monies work like that
Yeah,
for the
you can
lending
absolutely get a gift.
process?
All we do is we have we get the information from the person providing the gift. They fill out something called a gift letter, and they send it in, and they just have to wire the money to the closing
Okay.
company.
So the buyer or client, they shouldn't be like just accepting money into their account, right?
No, we don't.
Like
Yeah.
we don't want moving of
Mhm.
funds
Yeah,
during the
there's
process,
some, like,
right?
do not during this whole process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so one is moving money
yeah,
around, whether it's
yeah,
a positive or
yeah, no move
negative
it,
gain.
and it doesn't matter if you have $0 in your bank account, just link that bank account of where, like, that's okay, because if we see a large deposit, they're gonna need to
Mm,
source it from different bank statements and source it from different
right.
places where this money was originally held, and it
Okay.
can cause a lot of confusion. So we always say just don't transfer anything. If you are getting a gift, we will let the gifter gift the money to the closing company
Okay.
directly. And then another thing is, we tell all of our buyers, don't open up any new credit cards
Okay.
or any new debt. Don't buy a new car. Don't gamble. So there's a lot of like do nots because we have seen a lot of
Like, maybe
situations.
don't gamble closing costs the
Yes.
day before to hopefully win big.
And we have
Nothing the
seen,
next day.
yeah,
We
we've
might
seen
have seen that
terminations
for
because of
real.
that reason. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that we
that's
always say just wait until closing. 30 days. Normally, like
right.
the average time from start to finish is 30 days.
Yeah,
Or close. You can wait 30 days to go buy your new car. You can do whatever you want after closing,
right.
as long as you are able to pay your
Yeah,
monthly
because
mortgage.
I think you just, because from the lender side, there's the pre-approval, right? And
Mhm.
then you go under contract, right? So that
Mhm.
means your offer was accepted on the
Yeah.
home, and then the actual mortgage
Yeah.
process starts, right? So can you tell me a little, like, then you're
Yeah.
actually processing, reviewing the credit pull is done then.
Yeah. Well, so we do the credit pull ahead of time before the pre-approval
Okay,
because that
okay.
gives you an accurate. Like, I like to go over
Picture.
numbers during the pre-approval
Okay.
process. After we have a house, they already know their numbers before they go under contract with that house.
Right.
Once we do that, we order something called an appraisal, which determines the value of the home. And the appraisal is a big subject I like to go over with my buyers because a lot can happen with the appraisal. We might have additional repairs that they probably would already know in the
Mhm.
inspection, but the inspection and the appraisal are two different things.
Right.
And then the value of the home. So if the value comes in high, I always tell buyers that's amazing because they're walking into equity. I mean,
Right.
without even touching the house.
Right.
If the value comes in at value, that's a good thing. My house came in at value. It just means that the listing agent did a great job listing the house.
Pricing it, right.
Yeah. And then if it comes in low, lenders will only lend on the percentage of the appraised value. So for
Right.
example, if someone's putting 3% down, we're only going to lend 97% of that appraised value.
Mm.
And there's a few things that can happen. You can fight the value, which the buyers will have to be okay with. You can the sellers can negotiate to come down in price to meet that number,
Mhm.
or the buyers can come to closing with the cash difference.
Okay.
So there's options there, but I always want to make sure that the buyers know that ahead of time as well.
And one misconception too, I think if you underappraise, and I'm sure everybody has their own opinion on this, but a lot of times I'll see, especially, in the last 2 years when the market was really competitive and we would get into like multiple offers and people would pay 20, 30K over. And now
Mhm,
everybody says, oh, that's crazy. But we wouldn't appraise then, right?
mhm,
And I've had other lenders say, oh, well, you're overpaying for this home. And I hate that phrase because, well, one, to each their own. So, like, if
mhm.
I wanna spend $1,000,000 on a house and it only appraises at 900K, like,
Yeah,
to me, it was worth that $1,000,000 because of
yeah,
X, Y, and Z.
yeah,
And I've also had situations where I've had 2 appraisals done on a property, and
very
it's
true.
just the opinion of one person, right? So
Mhm,
there's an actual appraiser that goes to the home. Yes, they have a list of criteria, but at the
mhm.
end of the day, it's kind of their opinion,
Yeah,
right? Like, they use comps, but, I've had one appraiser come in at price and at list, excuse me, and then the other one come in 20K under.
mhm.
So, I don't know how you kinda speak to that. I know I always have a not trouble speaking to it, but it's just such a situational
Yeah,
thing, I feel like.
definitely.
And I feel like as an agent, I would never advise a client to overpay, quote
Yeah.
unquote, on a house, right?
Yeah, I always just say I give the facts and I let the buyers choose.
Yeah.
So, here are the facts, here's what the appraisal came in at. If the buyer chooses to pay the price that was originally listed
Yeah.
or at purchase
Yeah.
price, great. If they don't feel comfortable with it, that's totally okay.
Of course, of course.
If if the sellers are willing to negotiate down, great. So I'm here as a loan officer to provide the facts and let them decide what
Mhm.
makes them feel most comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a good point. The appraisals, they just
I know. I know. They get
for
messy,
me, they drive
especially
me
in the
nuts
spring
because
market.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Mhm.
Pittsburgh's inventory has just been so tight that when there is a really whatever it might be, a nice home in a nice area that's been updated or
Mhm.
has great mechanics and a great school district,
Mhm.
people are willing to pay a little bit more than the average list price and versus
Yep.
having to do the work themselves. But
Yeah.
I think when appraisers are looking at this,
Mhm.
it comes down to more like square footage and numbers and this and that,
Yeah.
and it's more qualitative versus quantitative on our side, and then it's vice versa on the
Well, it's
appraisals.
also not there's 0 emotions attached, which is a
Yeah.
good thing, but if someone
Yeah.
is in love with a house, they might be willing to spend a little bit
Yeah.
more on it.
And if you underappraise, your taxes are based on that. So I always say that's a
Mhm.
win. Lower
Yeah.
taxes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
So there's a lot that can happen, but
Yeah.
appraisals, they're fun for
Yeah.
sure.
So then kind of when we're looking at you're looking at a first time home buyer's overview of all their credentials, and you'll
Mhm.
say, okay, this is X type of loan you qualify for. So we have conventional, right? So
Mhm.
that's kind of, I don't even how would you describe that? Just
Conventional is probably I mean, we we reward people with good credit. So
right.
conventional is a great program for somebody who has great credit, and they can put even lower down than FHA. So we go down to
Okay.
as low as 3% for first-time home buyers,
Okay.
and the PMI falls off at 20%. So
So
there's
that's the perk, really, is that
mhm,
PMI, you can
yeah,
put less down.
yeah.
The rates usually similar
The
to
rates are
federal loans.
they're based on credit.
Okay.
So the rates
So
the
the
better
better
credit you have
credit,
yeah.
the better rate you'll get,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So what if you qualify for a conventional, but maybe the rate's not as great as you want? In a year, let's say you really work on your credit, you really like hunker down and your
Mhm.
credit improves. You can always refinance then and they can come back to you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do wanna say that when you do refinance, you have to have equity in your house if you are
Okay.
putting that minimal payment down, but I'm happy to go over it with you. It also depends on how much the rates went down.
Right.
So, if
If
they
it
didn't
makes
go down
sense.
significantly, I'm never gonna tell someone it's a good idea to refinance because refinancing is not free. It's no money into the deal up front, like, we build the costs of refinance into the mortgage,
Okay.
but it's not free.
Mhm.
So, I don't wanna advise people, like, let's say the rates went from a 6.2 to a 5.9. That's not
And not a
even though it looks
significant drop.
different, like the 6
Yeah.
and the 5, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, it's really not worth it.
Right, right.
It has to significantly go down for me to give you that advice, and again, depending on the price of the house, it's gonna like a 6.5 and a 5.9 might be totally, like, huge, like, that might be a big deal.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the house and the taxes and all the other costs that go into this house. But
But it
that's
is it
definitely
would be an option potentially at the end of the year
yes,
to revisit the conversation. You're not always,
absolutely.
like, locked in. You
Yeah.
what is it? What's that saying? Date the rate, marry the
Yep.
house?
Yep. Yep. Definitely, because
So
when you
cheesy,
wait
but so
and
true.
waiting can cost you because if like, the longer you wait, the more houses appreciate, and then
Right.
you can't change if a house goes from 400,000 to $450,000, that's you just lost $50,000 on that house a
Right.
year later that
Right.
might not even be available at that time, and
True.
that price, that $400,000 price is gone.
Yeah, and you're playing the market essentially. It could be a higher rate
Yeah. Yeah,
too,
so
much
well,
higher.
exactly.
We don't
You
know
can't you
anymore what's
can't
gonna happen if we had a
no.
crystal ball.
No, I mean, this year, especially, the rates were down 5.9
Yeah,
and
and
they
now
shot back up.
now they're coming back up,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's wild. Every day we just never know.
No. And,
S
so if you see a house you like, don't worry about the rate, because my biggest thing with people is that, like, when they focus on the rate, they get scared and they don't buy, but if you focus on your monthly payment and you can afford that monthly payment
Yeah.
comfortably,
Yeah.
then it's a bonus, because once we refinance your mortgage, that number is gonna go down even more.
Right.
So as long as you can budget that monthly payment, the rate does not matter at that point.
Right.
Of course, if you're looking at your highest point of like what you can afford, like let's say you're pre-approved for 400,000 and you're only looking at houses for 400,000, then the rate might factor in a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm here to help you budget and
Yeah.
guide you to what's best for you financially.
Yeah. And so if you don't qualify for the conventional, right, there's a couple other options.
Yeah,
So we
definitely.
have our
FHA.
favorite FHA.
Yep. So FHA is a government loan. It's 3.5% down.
Okay.
It is really a great program for many first-time home buyers who might not have credit as high as they'd like. So
Mhm.
FHA goes down to a 580.
Okay.
And I mean, it's doable. It's a more flexible loan product for a lot of people. You can only have one FHA loan out at a time.
Okay.
It's it's designed to be a primary home for people that might not be able to be approved with a conventional mortgage.
Right.
Um, but I will say, like, the appraisal is stricter.
Yes.
There's definitely stricter guidelines with this program, but it does allow more home buyers to actually purchase the home.
So you have to be a first-time home buyer to have it,
No, you
or
don't
you
have no
can use it again if need be, but you can only use one, so you'd
at
have
a
to, like,
time.
move from that house to
Yeah,
a new house.
yeah,
Okay. I think that's good to know. And I think what a fun thing is we've been learning is, um, a lot of investors like to buy lower income properties and flip them,
yep,
because there's a large profit margin, and then obviously first time home buyers is a big market here in Pittsburgh.
yeah, definitely.
Um, but we've learned, at least I have, there's some rules around that too, right? So if for all my listing flippers out there, listen up.
Yeah, you need
There's a
mhm,
time frame. Go ahead,
yeah,
because
so
we've run
0 to
into
90 days, you
issues.
need 2 appraisals
That's right.
done, and so I mean, it's great. I think flipping is an amazing investment to get into, especially in Pittsburgh.
Oh, it's
But
fantastic, but we have to
yeah,
know the rules
yes.
because it's been bumpy recently for me
Yeah,
personally in some transactions, just
yeah,
because people are not aware. One, you have to hold the property for a certain amount of
yeah,
time just to even
yeah,
sell it.
yeah.
You can't sell it in a month after you
No,
buy it.
no. And also, you have to make sure that, like, on the buying side, like, if you're the buying agent, you wanna make sure that you're finding a good flip, because we
Yeah.
get into situations where
You can't just make it look pretty.
no, like, there's going to be a home inspection on the house, and there's going to be an appraisal on the house, and if there's too much that comes up, these people that flip these homes are gonna get themselves into a financial crisis
Yeah.
because they're looking to profit on these homes, and, but there
Mhm.
are fantastic flippers in
Oh,
Pittsburgh.
definitely. And we'll work through the hurdles,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I do like to call out that if you are an investor and you
Mhm.
are working on
Yeah.
a project, a home, if you sell within 90 days,
Yeah.
FHA requires two appraisals,
Yeah.
and the lower one will stick with your property for what, up to 6 months, is
Yeah.
it? So
Mhm.
that means that that affects your profit margin essentially, especially if you're flipping a property that's under 200K, let's say, and that's a big first-time home buyer pool, and a lot of first-time home buyers do use the FHA program because it
Yeah.
is a great tool.
You also wanna
Um,
look into the comps in the area. I mean, that
yes,
might like,
yes.
I think flippers should always, like, work with a if I'm saying, like, flipper, but,
Yeah, no, it's
they should work with an agent
yeah,
because when they're actually doing the work, because the agent can pull comps in the area, so they're not putting too much money into these
yeah,
homes.
and make sure that that gap, but I
Mhm.
always just like to call that out because that's something that I mean, I must have missed that in my class. I did not see the 2 appraisals
Yeah.
on the 90-day flip,
Mhm. Yeah.
FHA rules,
Yeah.
and, it's a big deal because some appraisers, like we talked about, are a little more easygoing than others. I mean, I've had a property I listed that needed the front porch
Well, it's 90 to
repainted,
180
it
days
was
that you need
chipped.
to. So 90 to 180
Oh, it's
is
92,
uh-huh.
180,
So,
okay.
but 90 is the day that we can actually close on the house. Like 91,
Right,
day
right.
91 is the day that we can actually close on the house. So,
Yeah,
yeah, there's tricky rules to flips, but nothing that we can't do.
right.
And and I love when these houses are flipped because they just like there's old homes in Pittsburgh that are beautiful,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
need
They need, like,
loving. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love working with investors, and I love working
Yeah.
with flippers specifically in
Yeah.
the investment area because I just love to see what they do,
I
and I
know.
love to kinda, like,
It's amazing.
just put that hat on and say, "Okay, this is what
Yeah.
we're buying for, this is the budget."
Yeah.
It's really exciting to see the transformation, and I
Mhm.
think it really just revitalizes some of these areas in Pittsburgh that are really just coming to, like, a whole new life, a rebirth, a lot of the
Yeah.
areas and kinda closer out your way, like, even in Homestead and West Mifflin and out in Irwin, there's so many great
Oh,
opportunities,
yeah.
and I think the communities are really starting to bustle again.
Look at Lawrenceville. I mean,
Yeah.
it was not happening down there at all. And now it's beautiful.
So what do you think that the I guess, the trickiest neighborhood maybe to buy in from the lending side? I know, like,
There's
not really.
not no, I mean, I think realtors might have a better idea of that than I would, but I think the biggest thing on our end is that, like, when a house is reassessed.
Mm.
So, like, obviously, there's certain areas of Pittsburgh where they're reassessing quicker than others,
Yeah.
and people call me after closing, and they're like, "Why is my monthly payment higher?" Well, I that's why, like, I this discovery call is so important because we go over all of the what ifs, like,
Right.
your property taxes and your insurance, I have no control over.
Right.
So if your house gets reassessed, you can argue it, you can fight it
Yeah, but
on but
it's
that's not
tough,
with me.
right? That's out of your
Mhm.
hands.
Yep.
And so you're kinda trying you're really talking about, like, even areas that are whether it's flipped or not, whether
Mhm.
they're just kind of changing generationally. So, like, maybe
Yeah.
the house hasn't sold in 40
Yeah,
years.
exactly.
So their
90
taxes, I'm
sometimes,
sure, have
yeah.
gone up a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but they're not gonna be at the level of
Yeah,
what they're currently going for. And I
exactly.
think a lot of people will look at the cost sheet that you provide, um, when we look at houses and, you do what you can to pull the current
Yeah.
taxes, of
Mhm.
course, but yeah, it's a good point just to kinda think, "Okay, well, what would my payment look like if it went up 20%, and am
Mhm.
I still comfortable with
Yep.
that?" So again,
Yeah.
another reason that I think not only the discovery calls, but as much as I love to answer my clients' questions, I love being able to say, "Let's call Nicole on this."
Yep.
Like, let's give her a call
Yep.
because, maybe we're in an escalation bid war and we need to know how high we can go. And yeah, we can do the quick math on the cost sheet, but
Mhm.
let's consider
Make
what the
sure.
neighbors' taxes are because they sold last year and, like, let's add that in, that kind of thing. So I think
Yeah.
that's one thing, having a partnership with your agent is obviously critical,
Mhm.
but
Yes.
having a relationship with your lender is as well. And I think a lot of clients unfortunately learn that the hard way. So that's why I kind of want to have this out there so that people can understand it's more than just give me your credit, I'll let you know what you can spend
Yes.
conversation.
And it's so important that when you're showing houses at 8 o'clock at night, that you have someone that will answer the phone and they
Yes.
like you and I will work together to make sure that our buyer's offer is
10
accepted.
PM,
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah. It
all
doesn't
hours.
matter.
Yeah. And
We're
it
gonna
and
work our
I
hardest.
think a lot of people not in the industry don't understand how valuable that is. I mean, when there's a deadline on an offer, it's not like
Mhm.
a nice to have. Like it's 5 p.m. It's
Yeah.
5
Yep.
p.m. Like if you're 5:30 and you're
Mhm.
waiting on a cost sheet,
Yeah. That
sorry.
Yep.
I mean,
There's nothing that they can do.
obviously there's always people that will bend the rules and such, but I've also seen other agents. It is what it is. We got to cut
Mhm.
it off at some point.
Yeah.
We got to keep the transaction going.
Yep.
So yeah, I think your availability is crucial, and people are always apologizing for. I'm like, this is my job. Reach out whenever you want. Like
Yeah.
I signed up for this.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll call
I
me and be
know
like,
what
"I
I'm
need."
getting into. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah.
Maybe some other people aren't. Obviously, I do like to sleep sometimes, so I try to have a little bit of a
Mhm.
cutoff.
Yeah.
But if I know we're in a situation and
Mhm.
we need to make moves, we're
Absolutely.
available.
Yeah, and
So
I always tell people, don't feel bad about asking me for a cost sheet. This is one of the biggest investments of your life, and I wanna make sure that you're comfortable with whatever payment that you're moving forward with.
yeah,
People ask me, "Oh, can I see 3%, 5%, and 10% down?" Yeah, absolutely. That's
yeah,
important that you
yeah,
see those different numbers and you know what you have to bring to closing with each scenario so you know how much you can afford. And
yeah,
just because I tell you that you can afford something, like we have our calculations to our pre-approval and what your max is and everything, but that doesn't mean that you can afford it. So that's
yeah.
why again, like I ask what your goal is, what you think you can afford because you might have other costs that don't show up on your credit report and
hmm
that you want to
Or
talk to me about.
plans. Like,
Yeah.
let's say you're like, I want to have a baby in the next year.
Yes. Yep.
We're pregnant. Like,
Mhm.
now, obviously, you can't put that in a cost sheet. Baby
Yeah.
check. Okay, cost this much.
Yeah.
But I
Take into
think one thing
consideration.
that's great is you're a new mom.
Mhm.
And so you can also kind of help,
Yes.
like, you understand and you
Yeah.
can empathize with people that are going through that
There's
change
yeah.
you
Or
know,
any change.
or
I
any
mean,
change. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
There's people that just moved here and they have different expenses or they have like they
like
kids is a big
reload
one.
costs. Yeah.
Yeah. And or like they might have a membership or it's something that I won't have to
Yeah.
necessarily see on paper,
Yeah.
but it's so important that they tell me what they're comfortable with so they're not going in blindly
Yeah.
to something and that's like I like to sit down, go over all of their finances that I don't see so we
hmm
can come up with a number that they are most comfortable
Yeah.
with spending and cost sheets are key to understanding what we're moving forward
And
with.
those things are overwhelming, I'm gonna be honest. It took me a
Yes.
really like, even as
Mhm.
working in the industry, I think it took me, like, at least 4 or 5 to really be able, like I could explain it to
Yes.
someone myself.
Mhm.
Um, Not that they're rocket science by any means, but it's just a lot of numbers.
Yes.
They're not always intuitive in the way they're laid
Yeah.
out, let's say.
Yeah.
So I do love that you go over line by
Yes.
line by line, and kind of explain that because this is the biggest purchase someone's ever going to make in their entire life,
Mhm.
and the amount of people that are just like, "Tell me where I sign." It's a
Yes.
little alarming sometimes.
I know.
It's a
And,
little alarming. I love
that's
all of them
yeah.
too. I'm glad you trust us. I
Yeah.
would trust us too.
Yeah.
However, you should know
Where your
what
money's going.
exactly, down to the penny,
Yes.
what you're spending on this.
Yeah.
Literally the largest. I can't think of anything else unless you're buying Ferraris, which
Yeah.
I'm not there yet with the
No.
client pool. Maybe one day.
No. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's beyond critical because again, you don't know what you don't know. And so
Mhm.
like the tax thing, for example, if you're not looking at it and you're saying, "Okay, this is my taxes. They're $1,200 a year, let's
Mm.
say, for school and municipality."
Yeah.
If you don't know that that's what that is and then have that conversation with a real human being and you're like, "Yes, that's what it is right now because
Mm.
this was the last purchase price. It could go up to X amount."
Yeah.
You will never know.
Yeah.
You will never know.
Mhm.
And I think that that's why you just can't, the relationship that you build with the clients is really
Yes.
invaluable. Like there's no way about it. I think I am very valuable as well, but quite frankly, I think the lender is the most important person because you're with them before, during, and then after the transaction
Yeah.
for a really long time. Um, I'm always around, obviously, but I'm not the one that's going to be able to say, this is how
Yeah.
this is what we can do with your rate or this and that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think
I'm the
underestimating the checkbook is never as smart. It's never a smart
No,
move.
no, and I do believe that this is truly an investment transaction, even if you're buying your primary, it's a huge investment. And it determines how you're going to live your
Live.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a big you're putting a lot of money into it. Of course, we have grant programs, which I'm going to go into as
Yeah.
well, but you're putting a lot of money into this, whether even if you aren't bringing much to closing, you still have a home. You still have to be responsible for repairs or maintenance or
Yeah.
like the lawn and different things that you might not be thinking of when you're purchasing the home, but you're going to have
Mhm.
those costs after.
Yeah.
Like you might need a new air conditioning system and
Right.
like, it's all kinds of different things, a new refrigerator, like, those things cost money,
Yeah.
so somebody has to be mature enough to handle it in order to own a
Yeah.
home.
And that's one thing too, like you said, your agent and your lender have to have conversations because I'll say to you, yeah, Nicole, like this is a nice house, but the
Mhm.
mechanics, like the HVAC, the furnace, all of
Yeah,
those things are older. So
yeah,
we're assuming that in the offer price, but like
yeah,
how much would they have
mhm,
wiggle room? Do
yeah,
we need to add a home warranty? Like it
mhm,
does change the offer
yeah,
for the buyers.
mhm,
So I think that's just a really important call out.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so FHA conventional, those are our top two,
yes,
really. I mean,
yeah,
that's I'd say what 90% of the loans.
95
Okay.
are the 2 of them, and
Right.
then I do VAs. I
Okay.
probably have, like
Veteran.
yeah, veteran, so that's 0% down if they want. They have the decision whether they wanna put more down or they don't,
Okay.
but the perk is 0% down plus closing costs, and they can't ask for assist from the sellers in their
What's that
offer.
max? Do you know?
So ours is like, we don't have a
Oh,
max.
okay.
For
I wasn't sure,
some
honestly.
lending
Yeah.
companies have a max, but we don't have one.
Okay.
Um, so they are able to ask for not that the seller I mean, this is up to the sellers,
Yeah, of
so it's
course,
not
of
really
course. Yeah.
but veterans, it's a great program. It really is. We guide them through it. We work directly with Veterans Affairs, and they give us the eligibility. They give us the pricing.
Mhm.
We kind of go based on what they give us, and it's a pretty streamlined process. So that's 0% down, and we also do USDA. So the top four really are VA, FHA, conventional, and USDA.
Okay.
USDA can also be as low as 0%
Okay.
down, but it's all determined on where the home is. So it has to match
Oh, okay.
USDA on the USDA map in order to qualify.
And other than the map, how else do you qualify for USDA?
So your debt to income levels have to be
Okay.
lower. You have to have a credit score. There's different qualifications that
But you don't
kind of
have to
go
be a
based on
vet with that one.
No, no.
Okay.
You just have to live in
Okay.
a certain area.
Right. Gotcha.
So,
And
yeah.
again, we keep going back to this call, but like I really think that is the call of that will literally change your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Because
it's not scary.
I can
It's not
show people as many houses
mm,
as Pittsburgh allows,
yeah.
and I can put my best foot forward, but if we don't have that solid just financial map,
Mhm.
we're just gonna get nowhere.
Yep, and I explain how I pre-approve them on the call too.
Yeah.
And I think it's really easily digestible to somebody who doesn't know what's going on in the loan
Mhm.
process, because it's very simple. They need cash, credit, and income
Yeah.
to qualify.
Yeah.
They need all 3 of those things to get a house, and if they have it, great, we can move forward. If they don't, then we need to work on one of them. It's
Right.
not a no, right? Like, if their credit's not there, if they don't have the cash, we will always find a solution,
Mhm.
but the call is so important to, 1, make you feel comfortable with the process.
Right.
That's, like, my number 1 goal, is making it easily understandable for somebody coming in to like, the mortgage can be scary. Like, I mean, mortgage terms, the mortgage, like,
Yeah, it's a lot.
it
It's a thick
yeah,
packet.
yeah. But I'm here to make it like I wanna make it easy. I wanna make it so someone knows like, "Oh, yeah, this is the monthly payment that I can afford on the
Mhm.
house, and this is how much money I have to bring to closing. Let's move forward with that information and see what we can do."
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's great. I think knowledge is power, right? Like not to be
Mhm,
cheesy, but I think this roadmap and this information of just how you're going to personally help them
mhm.
is just so invaluable, and I really thank you for helping all of my clients.
I used to be a teacher, so it's like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still a teacher, and I want to move forward with
Yeah,
that.
but I think that's such a good skill set, and, like,
Mhm,
I would love to touch on that in general, at a later time, like how I always feel like there's a lot of people in this industry that have been doing this forever, and I'm sure they are fantastic
Mhm.
and wonderful people, and they could spit out every guideline of every grant and all of these things. But I think one huge part of our job is being able to teach, to
Mhm.
educate, and
Yep.
to be relevant.
Yeah.
And I see experience in all these people's marketing stuff, and I think that's wonderful.
Mhm.
But I think with experience without relevance
Mhm.
doesn't get you as far as you can go. I
Yeah.
think knowing the relevant programs that are,
Yeah.
targeted for these people, and the only way you know that is by educating them and learning about them.
Yeah.
And I think the way that you really get to know your clients, and really are just so relevant with, what's going on in the market. I can always be like, "Hey, what do we think the rates are doing this week?" You always know. You
Yeah.
always, you're
Yeah.
quick. I think, you know, we'll have to like brainstorm, but hosting webinars and stuff of just general process overviews and things like that, going through cost sheets, I think,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just being able to offer that information is something that not a lot of people want to always take the time to do. I've
Mhm.
noticed in this industry, everyone's busy.
Yeah.
We all have 1,000 clients,
Yeah.
but making sure that you're able to give your all to your clients
Yeah.
is where you stand out.
Yeah. Every client has the same goal of getting into their
Yeah.
future home, and it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and you have to look at it as a big deal for every single client, and I want them to know that I'm here for them, and I want them to make the best decision for them, and, of course, there's some people with different personalities, like, they want to spend as much as they possibly can to get the nicest house possible. That's
Mhm.
great, that's fine. I mean, as long as they're comfortable with that
Right.
and they qualify,
Right.
great, amazing. Um, and then there's some people that are a little bit more like, "Oh, we need to be careful."
Mhm.
And I wanna learn what type of person you are, so
Yeah.
then I can best guide your pre-approval letter for you.
Yeah. That's perfect. So we work with a lot of first-time home buyers in
Mhm.
this market. I actually think Pittsburgh, was reading an article, is like one of the friendliest cities to buy your first-time home, just because the home values are so much
Yeah.
lower and more competitive. There's so much more to do. We have so many great schools,
Yeah.
athletics. So it's really been drawing in a lot of first time home buyers and younger crowds.
Yeah.
What do you think, though, for the person that's like, I would rather rent than buy? Um, and I don't know, I have a couple clients that are renters and they're just like on the fence about buying. They're
Mhm.
overwhelmed with the process, obviously,
Mhm.
um, which is one thing. But financially speaking, what's your take on renting versus buying here in Pittsburgh specifically?
Yeah, so it depends where your life is. So I know some people are like, "Oh, we might move to Florida in, like, 6
Yeah,
months," or they have no idea what they're doing. That's fine. There's a place and a time to rent. I was a renter at one point. I was in college. I was renting. I was that made the most sense.
I
I was
rented for
living in
13
Arizona.
years
Yeah.
in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just
Yeah.
certain markets where
Yeah.
I would have
Yes.
loved to buy a condo in New York City.
Mhm. Yeah.
However,
Yeah. A little expensive.
yeah.
But buying is also like, always the ultimate goal, and this is why. When you think about where your monthly payment is going, I've seen people pay up to $3,000-$4,000 in Pittsburgh for renting, and that is
It's
great. You're
wild.
getting the super shiny,
Right.
whatever, rental place.
Doorman,
Yeah,
pool, gym,
but
all
you
of
have
the
to
above.
understand that your landlord is trying to make a profit, which is fine if they're providing you with what you want in a house and they're providing the maintenance and everything else, then great. However, in the end, your end goal should always be building your own equity. So when you're purchasing a home and you're paying for your mortgage, you're not just paying the bank money.
Mhm.
You're I always think about your home as a piggy bank, and every month you're putting money into the piggy bank
That's a great
because
analogy,
because
yeah.
eventually you're gonna sell your home and you're gonna get all that money back or more
Mhm.
because your house is most likely going to appreciate, where if you're renting and you move out of the rental, you're not getting anything back for that.
Right.
You're just paying your landlord. Of course, sometimes you don't have a choice. Like, for example, when I was in college,
You
I was
just
living
didn't have
across the
it.
country,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to purchase a home there because I didn't want to figure out what to do with it once, like, it
Mhm.
was just easier for me. So, that's a situation. But when you purchase a home, that home is gonna appreciate if you take good care of it, and one day when the time is right and you want to sell it, you can make that money back, or whenever and I'll just tell you my story really quick. We purchased our first home in 2020, and whenever I got pregnant with my son and we were growing our family,
Yeah.
we needed something bigger and more space, so we moved into our new house, but instead of selling our old house, we turned it into investment property, and
Okay.
that helps us with our mortgage payment on the new house.
Right.
So, it's and, the rental, we made it really nice. We made it amazing, and, like,
Yeah.
and our renters love it, and they're at a point in their life where it makes most sense for them to rent,
Mhm.
but the end goal should always be buying.
Right. I mean, realistically too, let's say you're renting a two-bedroom condo, it's 1,900, 1,000 square foot. That monthly payment, like you said, is, let's say, 2,000, maybe 3, it depends on the building you
And where it
pick,
is.
right, where it is.
Mhm.
But let's say it's, on average $2,000. I mean, you can get a similar square footage home here, and if your credit's okay, your monthly payment might not be more than that,
It might be
right? It might
less.
be
A lot of
less.
times it's less.
Yeah.
I have done
Yeah.
several, several first-time home buyers where their monthly payment was actually lower than what they were renting
Yeah.
for. Like, I mean, I can think of 5 on the top of my head right now.
Yeah.
Because Pittsburgh in 2025 was voted one of
I saw
the
that
only place
article.
where it was cheaper to buy than it was
Right.
to rent. So,
Yeah.
people will save money, and if you're looking to save money and make the best financial decision,
Yes.
buying is always the
Yeah.
answer.
And I think that's one thing too. Renters are always like, but then I have to take care of the home and put money into it. And yes, yeah, all of those things are very valid. That is
Mhm.
true. But I like what you said earlier. Your landlord is turning a profit, right?
Yeah.
Investors don't make money to break even. They
Yeah.
make money. They invest to make 20, 30+% margins. So there's no way, even if you have to replace a roof or a
Mhm.
furnace, if you're going to stay there for 5 to 7 years, you're going to make money on that
Yeah,
property if
and
you
let's
move and
say
sell. Like,
yeah,
there's no way around it, if not even less time, the way
yeah.
appreciation in this area has been
Mhm.
building. um
I also wanna point something out about the rental with the margins. So, sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll find a landlord that does give you a price for what they're paying for the mortgage. It's
okay.
possible.
Yeah.
However, and that's great and everything, but you're paying his mortgage, not yours.
Yeah,
So
that's so true.
or
Yeah.
her like the
Yeah, like,
investor's
that could be
mortgage.
your mortgage, and you could
Exactly.
be selling the
So
property, so it doesn't even
eventually
matter if you're
no,
upcharged or
he's
not.
this landlord, this
Yeah.
investor is going to profit no matter what, and that could be you. And very easily, and I always say that the best house hack is FHA in Pittsburgh, there's tons of multi-unit properties.
Mhm.
And the best house hack is the FHA multi-unit program that we have to
Okay.
offer. So what they can do is they can put 3.5% down as long as they're living in one of the properties, or
Okay.
one of the
Okay.
units. They can buy up to 4 units, rent out the other 3, and they
So
can still get primary
so it pays
pricing.
for itself,
It pays for
basically.
yeah, or
I
more.
mean,
You can still you can profit
yeah.
on it depending on how much
Yeah.
the rent comps are and how much you're willing to or you're asking your tenants to pay their rent for. You can profit immediately, and then a year so FHA requires you to live in your house for a year.
Okay.
So, let's say you keep your house for 5 years, you can rent out that last 4th unit and then use all of that money that you've saved to buy your next dream home or your next house or your next investment property.
That's
So,
that's that's really crazy,
yeah,
but
it's
also that's amazing. Is that do you know this is just random, but do you know if that's specific to this state or
no, that's everywhere.
just
It's
everywhere
FHA,
across the
yeah.
US? You could
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
buy yourself a house
But
in a
Pittsburgh is probably the
multi-unit
most
and it
affordable
right, right.
to do
Yeah, it's
that.
gonna be a little expensive to buy
Mhm.
multi-units in other places, but
Yeah.
they are a little tough to come by these days. I feel like I've had a lot of investors looking for non dilapidated multi-units because they do require a lot
Mhm.
of work then.
Yeah.
But no, it is a really great option.
Yeah.
Maybe we should set Cruz and Jack, our boys, up. Like after college, we'll just make
They
sure
have
that
to. I'm gonna make them.
they'll be roommates.
Yes. Yep. That's
This is in
they're
the
doing it.
future.
They are house
Yes. Sorry
hacking.
guys, you're not
Yeah.
leaving for college. We're house hacking you.
Yes. getting into real
Your
estate.
future selves will
Yeah.
thank you for it.
Yes. Yes. I always say, like, say if you're in your 20s out of college and you can, I mean, FHA, you can also get a grant if you're a first time home buyer. If you qualify,
Yeah.
just keep that credit score up and stay in good shape because this could lead you to financial wealth in the future.